Barbara Cullen, Kate and Travis Castrom, who moved back, and Barbara moved back, Margaret and Alistair Rogers, Ray and Lori Horvath, John Gazzetti, Cody Scott, Mary and Charles Lauber, Alyssa Passarella and Kevin Lyden, and Stephen and Linda Magnuson Rosario, who just moved into their house a couple of months ago. Welcome again. Today's our opportunity to thank the village employees, both volunteer and professional, for the services that they perform. Our volunteers run the village in a very professional manner. I'd like to introduce our trustees, Sherry Neff, Mary Ann Coogan, Laura Bates, and Ed Brickley. Also our village justice, David Desmond, who dispenses justice down here. And we also have multiple commissioners. We have Roxanne Grunhold, Code Enforcement, Joe Falco of Public Safety, John Gursky, Coastal Zone Management, Deputy Stormwater Management, Robert Brogdon, Fire Commissioner, Brian Mahoney, Parks Commissioner, Larry Kogel, Public Works Commissioner. Larry works hard. Mary Ann Oberdorf, our village historian, Val Nasso, Utility Maintenance Commissioner, Edmund Cusco Brickley, Linda Weiss, Tommy Ann Nasso, Village Hall Interior Committee, Maurizio Milana, Beach Commissioner, and his wife Allison, who took over from John Weiss and been doing a great job down here. Kathy Donahue Spear, Vital Statistics. Robert Minerick, Village Hall Maintenance Commissioner, has been doing a lot of work. The ZBA, Dave Madigan, Mark Alessi, Billy Phillips, Jeff Butler, James DeSario, Joe Falco again. Planning Board, Bob Sweet, Chris Mahoney, Mary Lou Abada, Mike Coogan, Kathy Simos. Let's give all of them a hand. George Lynn, Recreation Commissioner, and he does a lot of work. All these people do a lot of work, and you don't realize individually what they do, but when you look around here, it's not the professional contractors who do all this work and get these things squared away. It's the volunteers. Yes, we pay people to cut the lawn, to trim the trees, but there's a lot of things that go on here that you don't know about that is actually done by volunteers who don't call attention to themselves. This is our time to do it. So we thank all of you. Just go up Also, I want to thank Lee Fry and Judy Byer. You see Lee out there planting flowers, Mike Brogdon and Chris Rogers and Nancy Delagi, who helped out with a lot of things today. All the members of the Shoreham Country Club, Liz Larson, who's helping out a lot, the Shoreham Village Association led by Jean Jordan Sweet. These are all the people volunteers. Then we have a professional staff. We have Josephine Romano, Jennifer Alexander, Elizabeth Ward, Eric Casper, who are taking care of the building and the administration. Brad Hammond, our building inspector, our village handyman, Rich Schuer, and our code officers, George Romano, who leads them, Nick Rocco, Dan O'Connell, Chris Vaughn, Rich Russo, Michael Allegretti. Also, I'd just like to shout out to Clayton and Kim Bauman for letting us use the gazebo, Danny Brickley and Eric for letting us use their place for the start of the parade, and Bob Sweet for this great band, and the Minutemen. You know, as a kid, I'd sit up here and I'd be tortured by these speeches. So we have to thank everybody. We're going to all have our hot dogs and soda soon, but it's really important that we recognize the people who are working for us. So today we gather to celebrate Independence Day, which commemorates the ratification of the Declaration of Independence, which was ratified by the Second Continental Congress in July of 1776. The Revolutionary War had actually begun more than a year before, in 1775, and would continue another 8 years until 1783, and would result in approximately 7,000 U.S. battle casualties, 17,000 dead, at least of disease. Countries that fought with us were the French. They lost about 2,000, and the Spanish lost more than 4,300 people helping us. On the British side, they lost about 8,500, the Germans who were fighting with the British, about 7,800, and about 7,000 Americans lost their lives fighting as loyalists. And Native Americans perished on both sides as well. Now, when we think about the Revolutionary War, we think that it was very far away. But think about this. 60 miles to the west of us, in Brooklyn, occurred the Battle of Long Island with 2,000 casualties. 20 miles to the west of us occurred the Battle of Fort Salonga in 1781. 12 miles to the west of us occurred the Battle of Setauket in 1777. Just 16 miles to the south of us, maybe less, was the home of William Floyd, a Revolutionary War Major General of the Suffolk Militia and a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Just 3 miles to the east of us is the Wading River Cemetery on North Wading River Road, and there stand the gravestones of many Revolutionary War veterans, which are marked. And if we drive 60 miles east to Montauk, we can dive on the remains of the HMS Culloden, the 74-gun warship, sailing ship that ran aground in 1781 while trying to intercept French ships which were supporting us. The cannon and the copper sheathing remain under the sands and can be seen if you dive at the right time. Now, the brass plaques and the gravestones commemorating these battles and persons are small reminders of the sacrifices made approximately 250 years ago. The living and breathing manifestation of the ideals and sacrifices of our Revolutionary War countrymen is our present ability to self-govern and for all of us to be heard. The village of Shoreham is a wonderful manifestation of this legacy. In 1913, my great-grandfather, Claude V. Pallister, became the first mayor of Shoreham, then known as the president. Claude Pallister was originally of Pulteneyville, New York, the son of a Great Lakes schooner captain, who along with other residents oversaw the incorporation of the village, the paving of the dirt roads, and was one of the several people who pooled the funds to purchase the parkland that now runs between Rocky Point and Shoreham. That parkland provides the village with a sense of quiet and serenity it otherwise wouldn't have. Although Shoreham Village has changed greatly since 1913, back then and for many decades thereafter, Shoreham Village was largely a summer community. It's now a largely year-round community. The relative simplicity of municipal government of years past has changed. Today we have complex rules and regulations. My great-uncle, the then young, now deceased Jack Coleman of the 1930s, who lived in what is now Travis and Kate Tastrom's house, could no longer get away with galloping down Woodville Road on his horse Dolly while shooting at the Village Garden Club sign at the Oval. The late Christopher Birch of Thompson Street, who then lived in Lorenzo's house, a man who rode his horse into Madigan's house for a cocktail party, would find it more difficult to keep his pet lion Cleo. And the Shoreham teenagers of the 1960s, some of whom are here today but who will remain unnamed, can no longer pour a ring of gasoline around us sleeping 11-year-olds on our overnight hike. It certainly is a comfort knowing we're no longer being shot by a teenager on horseback, being eaten by a lion, or being accidentally incinerated by those who will remain unnamed. That being said, one of my goals as mayor is going to be to address village residents' concerns regarding the village code and modify it to more accurately reflect the needs and wants of the community. Although the concrete roads of 1913 remain hidden under the asphalt, the original founders of the village are long gone. The original cooperative and community spirit of Shoreham Village is alive and well. Shoreham Village is a very special place. Deck nights, tennis tournaments, movies, concerts, paddle tennis, basketball, a 4th of July parade, and most importantly, a bunch of supportive, caring people who sometimes disagree but ultimately look out for another in their times of need. It's no longer why people came from all over the country today to attend the 4th of July celebrations and to be with friends. Once a Shorehamite, always a Shorehamite. And speaking of Shorehamites who have come back, I'd like all of you to welcome all of you, and especially Alan and Robin Conger. Where's Alan? Is he around? Robin, where's Robin? Here he is. Robin summered here between 1959 and 1968. It's his first time back in Shoreham for more than 50 years. Sorry. And And speaking of Shorehamites, and speaking of Shorehamites, we'd like to welcome all of you back who came here from far and wide, especially Alan Robin Conger, who summered here between 1959 and 1968. It's Robin's first time back in Shoreham for more than 50 years. Robin, an Army veteran, served and was wounded in Vietnam while serving with Delta Company, 1st Battalion, 20th Infantry, 11th Light Infantry Brigade. Let's welcome him back to Shoreham and show appreciation for the sacrifices of the men of Delta 120. We hope he doesn't wait another 55 years to come back. I'm so glad he came back. I'd also like to give a shout out to Cassidy Vale. I don't know where he is. Cassidy, are you around? He's somewhere around, but he's been in the Army since 2011. He was relatively recently in the Ukraine. Our friend Colin Flannery, who's serving with the Marine Corps as a lieutenant, he's out of Fort Sill. Other people, James Bates, right there. It's very quiet today. Yeah, he's Gene Richter, Mary Kay Knapp. And if I missed any of you guys, I'm sorry, but you're in our thoughts. Most of us remember, these are my sort of final comments here. So most of us finally remember our friend Bud Siegel, Mr. 4th of July. Bud passed away 9 years ago. He would have been 103. I went to his last two reunions with the paratroopers at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and Fort Polk, Louisiana. Bud served with the 509th Parachute Infantry Battalion, which went into the Battle of the Bulge with approximately 600, but was reduced to 50 a month later. On one of our trips, Bud related an anecdote pertaining to his World War II service. Bud's battalion executive officer was a major who was in his 40s, who had been a National Guardsman before the war. Bud was a platoon leader, 25 years of age. Following an inspection, the major was berating a young enlisted paratrooper regarding some minor debris left following the sweeping of some steps. Members of the 509 at this point were battle proven, having fought in North Africa, into Italy, including the Anzio beachhead. These young guys were draftees who had volunteered for the paratroops. Bud must have resonated an aura of dissatisfaction regarding the major's comments. Later, the major asked Bud how he would have handled the situation. Bud told the major he would have told the trooper he did a good job overall, but that he missed a spot. I found the anecdote meaningful and tried to incorporate it into my daily dealings. I hope others provide me with the same courtesy as your mayor. As your mayor, I want you to know I'll do my best. And now I'd like Liz Larson to come down. She's going to prevent the children's bike prize and the four-legged companions prizes. Thank you, Liz.
Happy 4th of July, everyone. I also want to thank the Bowman family for taking over the tradition of handing out the bunting. You can't hear me?
We want to hear you, Liz.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, I'm going to start over. Okay, happy 4th of July, everyone. I also want to thank the Bowman family who now live in Bud Siegel's house and have taken over the job of handing out the bunting and the flags. I had stepped in for a few years to keep the tradition going, and I am happy to have the owners take over the tradition. So thank you very much for doing that. And I want to say that it's amazing what our Shoreham kids can do with one roll of crepe paper and a couple of flags. This year, once again, everybody did an outstanding job, and I want to thank them all and their families for participating, because it does really make our parade very festive. There are a few that I want to mention. Our committee looked around today, again, another tough year to acknowledge a few kids, but here we go. If I call your name, just come down and we have a little something for you. Okay, the first one is Lily Ty. Emma Lapani, Dahlia Armand, Owen McLaughlin, Lucas Huck, and Nora Castro. And then for four-letter friends, we have Coco the dog.
What do you think? Thank you. Good job, buddy. All right, go back to their spot.
If you guys, I can give you your prizes later if you don't want to come down. You can come down though.
Go Nora!
Okay, I'll give you guys your prizes later on.
And now Ed Brickley will announce the names of our deceased residents.
Get my glasses out. It's a tradition here every 4th of July to honor the memory of members of the Shoreham community who passed away during the past year. And it's my honor to acknowledge, I'm sorry,
Put it right up to your mouth.
Right up to your mouth.
Right up to your mouth.
I'll have to crouch down. Oh, that's better. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start again then. It's a tradition here in Shoreham every 4th of July to honor the memory of members of the Shoreham community who passed away during the past year. It's my honor to acknowledge their passing and share some thoughts about our dear friends. First, I'd like to mention Jeffrey Putnam Bates, who was living in Darien, Connecticut. He passed away on January 4th, 2022. Jeff was born on August 20th, 1965 to John Bates and Nancy Muller Bates. Jeff graduated from Bucknell University in 1987, and Jeff loved the coastal Northeast from the Connecticut shores to the beaches of Long Island, where he especially loved this little village of Shoreham, and the village loved him back. Jeff was our rock skipping champion for a number of years in a row. When I attended his memorial and I found out something I didn't know, his friends and Confederates scoured the beaches for the flattest stones, not only to supply Jeff with the winning stone, but also to deny his competitors the use of those stones. A little aside for that. He loved water sports. He's a natural athlete and an avid musician, and his love of family and friends was unrivaled. Jeff is survived by his beloved daughters, Lindsay, Ella, Georgia, his parents, Nancy and John Bates, his brothers, John Jr. and James, and he was adored by his many aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews, and especially by his large group of devoted friends. Thank you. Peter Vermillen also passed away this year at the age of 72. He was the son of Paul and Nancy Vermillen, and he passed away on September 1st, 2021. Peter survived by his wife of 49 years, Kathleen Moran Vermillen, and his children, Michael, Thomas, and John, as well as 7 grandchildren and his siblings, Paul Jr., Jay, David, Jessica, Rob, and Mark. And Peter was a loyal alumnus of Georgetown University, and Peter and Kathy were the proud residents of Chatham Township, New Jersey, until they moved to Quogue in 2001. Peter spent the summers in Shoreham, was a former Shoreham lifeguard, and he'll be especially missed today because he never missed the 4th of July with us here. I want to acknowledge also Robert L. Monahan, who passed away on May 27th, 2022, just 2 months after his wife Frances, who passed away on March 8th, 2022. Robert and Frances were married for 64 years, and Bob retired from Brookhaven National Lab in 1993. He was an avid bicyclist and camper. And during the days where Bob used to ride, I used to ride with him. And I did some little calculations the other day, and I realized that Bob and I had probably ridden a minimum of 20,000 miles together over those years. There's a lot of time to talk and a lot of time to build a friendship, and I certainly will miss him. Frances was a devoted wife and mother and homemaker, as well as a skillful gardener. Robert and Frances moved to Shoreham in 1960, and they are survived by their children, Kathleen Monahan, Ellen Casper, and their grandsons, Eric and Adam. And finally, I want to acknowledge the passing of Maria Elena Lazo Quesada, who died on April 13th. She was also a Shoreham resident. So thank you all. I just want a personal comment. It is heartwarming to see so many people return to this place, to this day. It's absolutely heartwarming. Thank you.
And now, Yvette Moonblum will sing This Land Is Your Land. I think she will.
Yeah, Greg has to come down.
Just grab there.
Because it's not going to be any fun without that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be silly.
Thank you so much.
The best part, Greg.
Can't get it. I'll sing loud.
Okay. Thank you, Yvette and Greg, Julia, multiple, really talented guy. Thanks, Brian Adams, for recording this. It's now time to have some hot dogs, soda, meet some new friends, make some old friends. Let's have some fun. Have a great day. Thank you.